Hello, everyone. My name is Shelly, your host of the Stretch of Identity podcast. Today we have Kris with us. Hello. Kris, we're going to unfold your story. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Okay, so let's lay down on your back and we're going to have your head on the pillow here. So tell me what area, let's start with what area of the city you grew up in.
So when I first moved to Winnipeg, my family and I, we lived in St. Vital actually for 2 years. And then we moved over to the Garden City area. So the Garden City area is where I grew up. So since I would say 8, up until now that I'm an adult, I'm in Scotia Heights, which is adjacent to.
Yeah.
And I loved growing up in the Garden City area. Middle school for me was HC Avery, which is smaller. Like, I don't know if a lot of people know HC Avery.
Holy cow, I haven't heard that in so long.
Right? And then high school for me was Garden City.
What year did you graduate?
2015.
Oh. Oh, you're a baby.
Yeah, I'm just a baby.
Nice. Okay. And sorry. So wait, can you retract? When did you move to Canada?
So I moved to Canada when I was 3 with my family,
Oh, okay.
and we lived in Vancouver first. So that was the first city that we immigrated to. And we lived there for 3 years until a strike kind of took out my parents' ability to go to work. And so funny enough, the aunt who helped us get settled in Vancouver has a sister who lives in Winnipeg. So my parents said, okay, well, it's summer, we're gonna go to Winnipeg for vacation.
Nice.
And then my dad...
When do you hear that?
Right? You never hear that.
Yeah.
And then my dad ended up getting a job at Review Health Center, so like a hospital. So of course, you know, that stability is key. Yeah. So my parents were like, just kidding, we're not going back to Vancouver, we're gonna now live here.
Right.
So I've been in Winnipeg since I was 6.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love Vancouver.
Vancouver's the best.
Vancouver. It's so expensive now though.
It is.
Cool. Okay, and then so what do you have a post-secondary education?
Yes, I do. So my post-secondary experience was a bit rough. When I was in high school, like I did fine, I did great, honor roll, all those things. And then it was the transition into Asper at U of M that really, that humbled me for sure. And yeah, it took me out. And this is kind of when my struggles with mental health started, was right around that age when I was at U of M. So I guess I would say 18, 19. And so then I took some time off. I just worked, tried to figure it out. And then I felt pressured to go back to school and get an education. Definitely the narrative for me was, well, my parents like gave up everything to be here. And they did, like they never were like, hey girl, go to school. Like, when are you going to school? But you know, when you live with your parents, it's there. They don't have to tell you, but the pressure is there.
100%.
So I kind of just like made a shot in the dark and I said, how about administrative and legal assistant? Let me do that. Yeah. That sounds easy. 6 months, Robertson College, sure. So I did that, graduated, and then I started at a law firm. You're good. And my mental health declined some more. I was going to work and I had this anxiety in my stomach that I couldn't explain. And I would go to work and I would literally be sleeping at my desk. Like, I didn't know what was happening. Like, physiologically, I couldn't stay awake. And so again, I don't know what mental breakdown number this is, but I told my parents, like, I can't work here. I'm so sorry. So of course I feel like a failure because the education that, I just took also didn't result in a fruitful career. I think I stayed there for 6 months.
Right.
So after that, confidence is low, all of these things, and probably 2021, I just was serving, working retail, kind of figuring it out. And then in 2019, right before the pandemic, I said, okay, let me try an office job again. And I worked at Bentall Green Oak at North Square, which is a property administration company.
Right.
And it was a good time.
Oh.
You know, coworkers were nice. Like, I feel like I could do my job well. And this is kind of when I started to begin my own healing work. So this is when I discovered therapy, because at this point in time, mental health was such a barrier for me. I was experiencing like social anxiety, just general anxiety. This is a few years after I was diagnosed with clinical depression. So just like figuring all of that out while also trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life to make a living.
No kidding.
And then of course my parents don't really understand how to support me.
Right.
They know that I'm struggling. But it was just hard, I think, for everyone in my life at the time, me and also those who supported me. So pandemic hit, of course, my mental health took another hit, just as everyone else's did. And at the time, I was kind of thinking like, oh, you know, like maybe I have ADHD. Like, I feel like this is what it is. And so I got gaslit by my practitioners, which I like, my therapist and my GP, because they're like, yeah, no, you don't. Like, there's more to that, X, Y, and Z. But I was so sure, like I could feel it in like my gut, like this is the answer. So during the pandemic, I just really worked on myself in therapy, and this is when I started to kind of discover my spirituality and kind of connect to that. I grew up in a Catholic home, of course, and that experience was, you know, something else. But at this point in my life, I think spirituality was more, it was easier for me to connect to because it wasn't so structured.
So structured. Strict, structured.
Exactly.
Shameful.
And it felt more personal. Like I, at the time, was, you know, connecting to the universe, something greater than myself. So after a year of some deep work, I, you know, built up the confidence to actually step outside of my comfort zone. So when I was like 16, 17, I don't know how to describe this, but I just had this deep knowing that I was meant to do more meaningful work that would help other people. So when I kept getting met with failure after school and jobs, like it just didn't make sense. So I found a posting online for a mental health organization. I applied. I got the job, and I've been there since 2021. And when I started there, I finally got the support of my colleagues actually to figure out how I can get a diagnosis for my ADHD. And so that felt really supportive, and I sought out my diagnosis, which I think is probably one of my like greatest achievements almost. Because I was able to advocate for myself and just trust my intuition that that's what it was, and lo and behold it was. So I got my diagnosis I think in 2022, started medication, you know, started psychotherapy with my psychologist, and life became much better. Like I was advancing in my career in ways that I never could have imagined. So I'm about to actually hit my 4 years this coming July. And since then I've shifted into 3 different roles. And so now my current role is in an executive leadership position for the administration of the organization. And it's really fulfilling work. And I can see that even though I'm behind the scenes, the impact that the work that I do supports so many Manitoban families and individuals. Like I'm gonna probably cry. So it's really fulfilling.
100%. I love that for you. And you know, I'm telling you, when you first applied for the podcast, I could relate so much in terms of, well, first of all, I am still an undiagnosed ADHD.
You love a neurodivergent girly.
Oh my god, girl, that's why I need all this organization. But more so, I related in a way where it's like going through a mental health challenge, not really knowing where to turn to because mental health isn't really a topic with the parents, it's within the Filipino community and things like that. And finding much more of a connection with spirituality. And for you, like, So what would you say was I know you're diving into like your career and everything, but maybe this is a topic to move on to there, but when did you decide to make the spiritual healing as part of your work, like actually like monetizing and like fully putting your effort into that kind of business?
So that would have taken place. So in 2023 is when I found out about my spiritual gifts. And
how? First of all, how?
Let's get into that.
What?
So in 2023, this would have been a year or a year and a half after my diagnosis and medication and consistent therapy and my work with my psychologist. So I was like wrapped around all of these mental health supports, and I was doing great. And then all of a sudden, I think in June of 2023 is when I was recognizing that as I would be driving to work, I kept getting like these visions of and these experiences, like these vivid experiences of me getting hit by vehicles.
Oh goodness gracious.
And I've never been in a car accident before.
Okay.
And so that's what I knew, like something wasn't right.
Right.
Because again, like life kind of stabilized for like a good year and a half and all of this was happening. So my intuition led me, and also probably part of my ADHD brain was like, hey, do you remember that time that you saw that psychic in 2015? So it felt like the right next thing to do.
Right.
So I saw her again, shout out to Tita Dalia. And she helped me kind of figure out all of what was happening around me. And then she just kind of casually dropped, oh, it's a good thing you saw me, because only other gifted people like you can, like you could read you. And I'm like, oh, can you just back up and explain?
Yeah.
So she did, and she said, oh yeah, you have a gift of like clear knowing, like intuition, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like dawned on me, like in that moment, I was like, wait, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So this was a month before I was getting married. So I'm like, okay, cool. Here's another, identity crisis that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
And then after I saw her like June, July of 2023, it piqued my interest because all of these like memories of these experiences that I had growing up were kind of like, hey, like this kind of lines up with maybe what I am or what I have. So since then,
let's take a moment.
Yes.
Just set up for everyone. Okay, sorry. Since then.
Oh, good. Just let me know what you need me to do with my limbs.
Nothing. So since then.
Yeah. So since then, I started to train with her actually. In I want to say August or October of 2023. I'd see her every single month for a year, and I'd spend an hour a month with her, and she would teach me and really just share her lived experience. She's also Filipino or Filipina, and so she was a faith healer in the Philippines since she was like 7. Is when she recognized her gifts. So I learned through her how to manage my own gifts, and also learned that the height of when I was experiencing those mental health issues was a part of the calling.
Right.
And I have chills now because in the research that I've done about pre-colonial Philippine spirituality, in the role of Babaylans in the community, they often go through like this insane, like physical, spiritual kind of like, possession is not the right word, but they go through it, and that initiates their calling.
Wow.
So when she confirmed that, I was like,
Oh,
okay, things kind of are making sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess so.
Okay, so you mentioned December 2024.
Yes.
So yeah, what happened from there on?
That's when I finished my training with Tita Dalia, and that's where I felt like really, I guess, locked in with my ability to kind of control the psychic medium experiences that I was having prior to doing training with her that would happen out of my control, right? Like I would experience things, get downloads of things when I wasn't channeling or when I wasn't doing a reading. And so in December 2024 is when the download came, and it said, and it gave me like, this is the name, like this is Babaylan Soul Works, like these are the things and the resources that you have at your disposal to be able to make this a thing.
Right.
And so I started to read outside of family and friends, and I would go to the Psychic Saturday events in the Exchange District as a reader, just to get my feet wet and just to be a part of the spiritual community in Winnipeg. It was really cool to even find that kind of event existed. And then in March of 2025 is when my registration went through at Manitoba Company's office, which is really cool. And so since then is when I've been connecting more to the kind of work that I want to do through Babaylan Soul Works, and where I can kind of take it. And I think at the base of my mission, or why I do that.
Oh, it's the door outside.
Okay. I thought that someone was right there.
It's right there.
But I think
we're traumatized.
The base, or I think at the core of what I want to do, and I think what drives me is just to help people on their journeys feel that clarity, or get that closure, or just feel held in life. And I think it stems from what I wish I had in my experience. Like if I had someone who could kind of walk through beside me, I guess, in my spiritual journey, or just in life in general, different from that of a therapist or a psychologist, but that kind of a relationship is something that would really have benefited me. And so now that I'm able to do that and help the clients who come and see me, it's so rewarding. And I love to be able to see, like that aha moment, or when the light bulb comes on from someone who has an idea of like why they might feel stuck. And kind of follow their intuition to come to me, or maybe something happened and they're like, oh, like my friend mentioned you or whatever, and just kind of followed their intuition. That's really satisfying, because it's like people are locking into what they inherently know,
or even open to it.
Right.
The thing, and it's interesting because when you're speaking about all of that, it's interesting because I actually have a lot of relation when it comes to assisted stretching, because not that it honestly, girl, it's actually similar path, but not at all. I find with assisted stretching, so prior to being a stretch practitioner, I'm a personal trainer as well, and I'm also just a chatty Cathy, so just like talking to people all the time and like having them open up. But when I was a personal trainer, it was hard for me to, as an ADHD girly, maybe, it was hard for me to pay attention to their reps, also their form, but also talking to them, distracting them while they're pushing it hard, but also still making a connection with them. And I found that I always had a good skill connecting with people. And so when I switched to being a stretch practitioner, again, like what you're saying, assisted stretching is not an often looked at modality when it comes to working with the body, and breath work as well, right? Spiritual work. So my style of stretching, I didn't do it today, obviously, because we're in an interview, but there is a lot of breath work, and there is a lot of emotional connection and release. I don't know how necessarily. I do think it's just through how I talk and what I say, but I don't feel like this is part of it.
I'm sorry, I'm
right?
just
behind me. Oh my god. But anyways, and then to relate as well to the whole clients and seeing them open up their mind to spiritual work, open up their mind to working with a different scope of practice when it comes to working with the body, it's rewarding. It's rewarding because it's like, it's so, and I'm sure you can relate, it's rewarding being the first person to bring that into their life, right? Or like maybe not even the first person, but also being like maybe first impactful person. Right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've done breath work a lot of times prior, but you also have to be in a certain mental state to be able to fully accept what someone is talking to you about. Right? So with that being said, I know I slightly brought it up before we started the podcast recording, but you mentioned, I wanted to ask you, and if you can share with the audience, is like, what would you say was the most rewarding story that you have in terms of spiritual work with a client?
That's a great question. And there are so many instances and situations that come to mind. So I almost want to just like take a moment to actually like tune into what might be the most impactful. And I think it's gonna be the first client that I had when my business was registered, and she came to my home office.
Yeah.
And what made it so rewarding for me was when she saw me, she actually shared that she moved to Canada 8 years ago, and she had been seeing like a psychic or, you know, practitioner in the Philippines. And since she's made that move 8 years ago, she had not been able to find someone in Winnipeg to do a reading with. And so she would do virtual sessions with the psychic that she used to see back home in the Philippines in Batangas. So she felt really relieved to have an in-person experience again after 8 years. That was really satisfying.
That's so nice.
And it really, I think, validated for me something that I didn't even like know really was a need, where it's like there are people, and there are Filipinos specifically, who have actually had this as part of their well-being maintenance, or as part of their physical, emotional like health back home. And they've been finding that they can't fill that need here. So that, even before we began our session, was really fulfilling. And then throughout the session, she was experiencing, you know, struggles in trying to conceive for a family. And so just providing some insights to her about what is to come and how to honestly, like, energetically kind of open herself up to understanding that the timing that she and her partner, you know, kind of envisioned, you know, it's not going to be that way. And there are some other kind of components that need to happen in their lives for that time to come. And that sense of relief that she just naturally had felt really rewarding as well. That sticks out to me.
Love it. I love that for you. And it's so interesting, like, again, like these things, and like as people who are working in a practice that, first of all, isn't that common in the Filipino community in Winnipeg, right? I found. I don't know any other Filipino medium, right? Like I don't personally. But the thing that I find is very interesting, and you just opened up your business, but can you share like how you feel in a journey? Do you feel, okay, as a Filipina in this line of work, do you feel that you have a good support system outside of, actually, you know what, including family? Do you feel like you have a good support system with like your parents and then your external relationships outside of that?
Specifically with this work, right?
Yeah.
I really do, actually.
Yay!
And it was something that I definitely was hesitant to share,
Yeah.
obviously for a lot of reasons. So it started off with my immediate family, of course, and they were, I think my mom for sure, she still kind of doesn't fully get it, but my dad does. So my dad actually had shared that his grandmother, shout out Lola Chining, she practiced in the Philippines. So when I shared my story and what I've been going through, he was kind of connecting to experiences that he had, and also like, oh yeah, like it's in our family. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Love that.
Friends have been really supportive. Family have been, some colleagues I've shared this part of my life with have also been really supportive. So it's been a surprise, but a really good surprise to receive that support from the community.
Nice. Love that. Okay, so if you had one piece of advice for, not even advice, if you had the first action step one of our audience can take towards soul finding and towards being open towards this, what would you say is the first step that you'd suggest?
That's a good question. I think the first step I would suggest is maybe let go of what ideas you have of what healing or soul searching, or, you know, what that might look like whatever you thought or imagined to be that process to be, if you can somehow let that go, which is easier said than done. But I think that gives space for someone to just experience what is around them and open themselves up to the synchronicities or the downloads or even just their own intuition. I think that would be a really helpful kind of first step for someone who might kind of feel like they need to be somewhere else, like as if their soul was calling them to do something else, but they're physically in one place and they can't figure it out, is let go of what you might think that journey to getting there might be like, and also just quiet your mind, which is really hard. Totally hard, but that's actually what kind of jump started my my connection to myself. Even before I saw Tita Delia, even before I found out that I was a psychic, was meditation. I discovered it through therapy in 2019, 2018 when I started, and that was the key for me in my journey to getting to where I am now, is surprisingly enough being quiet. And sometimes it's not even just being quiet, because some meditations I have can be very active and the downloads and what's being shared with me, but meditation.
Love that. Love it. Meditating is hard. I've tried it.
It is very hard.
So hard.
It's very hard.
All right, awesome. Well, that's everything we have today. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Again, everyone, this is Kris from Babaylan Soul Works, and if they can reach you anywhere, how can they reach you?
So they can reach out to me on Instagram. Instagram is babaylan.soulworks. And then also they can reach out to me by email if they don't have Instagram, which is babaylan.soulworks@gmail.com.
Awesome. Yay, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye. Right, have fun.
Oh, so good. You're a really good interviewer.
Am I?
Yeah.
Every client that you get, they say that.
They say that?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that's how much I don't take compliments, because it kind of just goes over my head.